What I wanted to talk about today is actually loyalty. I help cooks get promotions and get raises. So if that is something that interests you, go ahead and subscribe to my channel for tons of content. I have over 200 videos on this subject. This can kind of branch off into leadership styles. So within leadership styles, you have people like, have you ever worked at a restaurant and you noticed that everybody does what the manager says as long as they're physically in the restaurant with them? But when the manager is gone, people do whatever they want. Well, that is a sign of a lack of loyalty, and that's usually an indication that the manager is using fear and discipline in order to get what they want instead of showing true leadership. It's a sign of a weak manager. Ironically, if somebody is managing their property correctly, the way that the servers and the cooks behave should be identical when they're there or when they're not there. And this is because of loyalty. And how do you get loyalty from the people that you work with? One of the ways that you get loyalty is by providing value. I have people on my channel that come and visit every single one of my videos because of the value that I provide them, and when I say things or indicate that things are going to happen a certain way, they actually do happen that way. When people get burnt out, they react a certain way. When people feel overwhelmed, they react a certain way. When I first started this channel, there was a lot more swearing, and it was a lot more laid back, line cook. Look, I'm talking to line cooks right now. I'm going to swear, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. When you are a leader, you are really following your, in my case, audience, but you are following the people that you are working with. Your crew will guide you to what you need to do and what your responses need to be to a given issue. And when you ignore those responses, when you ignore what they're saying, that produces a lack of loyalty, and people don't want to listen to you as much. When you start making arbitrary rules that people just see as lame and pointless, they will stop listening as much, and they will just do what you say when you're there, but then when you're gone, they're going to do what actually works. And this may be a pill that's hard to swallow for some, but it is 100% reality. So all of these videos where I get on and I talk about having one-on-ones with people or talk about pre-service meetings and stuff like that, it's not just for the funsies. It is because when you have these meetings and you allow people to give genuine feedback without them fearing reprisal, and you allow them to open up and talk about the things that are really going on, it will give you a different view into the restaurant. If you are a line cook right now looking to move into a leadership position, I want you to absorb this and use this for your future leadership position. When you listen to other cooks around you, as a line cook, maybe you're not in a leadership position yet. You listen to them talk about how many problems there are with ordering, or how they can never get any time off. Somebody had to come in, they wanted to go to their kid's graduation, and they had to come in and work because it was on XYZ day, or they couldn't celebrate Mother's Day, or this or that, whatever it is. These kind of small things are what actually builds a solid team, when the team themselves knows that you have their back and that you would do everything for them. When you do this right, these are the people that will follow you to a different restaurant, and why somebody taking your place will not be able to get the same result out of them is because you are following your team and you are listening to the issues they have, to their struggles, and acknowledging that they're actually people. We have lives outside of the restaurant. You know, this isn't the 90s where you're expected to work 60, 70 hours a week and have that be something that you boast about on Facebook 20 years later. Like, the fact of the matter is that to be a leader, to be a true leader, and to get the loyalty of your team means respect for your team. Your team is relying on you for certain things. When they talk about something needing to be repaired, gaskets needing to be repaired on the reach-in doors and whatever, the drains needing to be cleaned out, whatever the case is, they're not coming to you with these things in vain or because it's a joke or it's not actually that serious. you can deliver on these things and gain the loyalty and respect. And part of gaining this loyalty also means doing everything that you would also expect them to do. If you think, for example, that cooks should be responsible for cleaning the front of house restrooms and the employee restrooms and all that stuff, you should also be cleaning the toilets and showing that, look, I'm doing it, you can do it, it's not that hard. And if somebody's got a problem with it, show them how to clean it properly, whatever the case is. I'm not saying that this is something that's mandatory, something that every restaurant does. I'm just giving this as an example. If you want the cooks to do something, you need to be willing to do that same thing. You don't just come in at 9 and leave at 3 and assume that they're always going to handle stuff, because the weekends, the PM shift is always going to be the worst one. You can't just be a desk jockey when it comes to this position. You got to get your hands dirty. One other thing is they need to be able to depend on you for answers. If you give wishy-washy answers or do this whole like, I don't know, maybe it's this, maybe it's that way, why don't you ask this person, that person? If you never have answers to questions, if you always come in out of uniform, if you're obviously kind of lazy and sloppy, whatever the case is with any of this kind of stuff, they pick up on it. And over time, when you consistently don't have answers for things, they're going to see you as somebody that shouldn't have the position that they have. Even if you should have that position, if you never have the answers, they're going to sit back and wonder, like, why is this person in a position of leadership? If I have a question about the order, they do the order. Why don't they know about the things that I'm asking about that have to do with the order? And that's what happens on the cook side of the thing. So you have to be willing to dive into those kind of situations. One other thing you want to do is humble yourself and acknowledge that sometimes there's going to be people out there that have more experience than you, that get hired on and know things that you don't know. And you have to be willing to shut down your ego and listen to what they're saying. If you do traditionally comfort food at a restaurant, we'll say comfort Midwestern country fried steak and eggs, like that kind of stuff, biscuits and gravy. If you hire somebody that has a background in Mexican food and they know how to make scratch enchiladas or chilaquiles or any of that other stuff, utilize that information and give them the appreciation they deserve in executing these menu items, and acknowledge that you don't necessarily know how to make everything, because that's something else. It's just like shooting yourself in the foot when you ignore the experiences of those people around you. When you are a leader, you are required to be stronger than those that are around you. You are expected to go above and beyond what anybody else does. It is assumed that you are going to be an expert on certain things, or at least know more than most others. Having that honesty of, I don't know how to do this, I don't know how to do that, seems counterintuitive. It will actually help humanize you and have them realize, look, he's in a leadership position, he does know what he's talking about, but there are things that he doesn't know. Because something that I think gets twisted in a lot of people's minds is realizing that we are all human and that we all make mistakes. There's limits to our knowledge. No matter who you talk to. They may think they know everything, but they really don't. The difference between a leader and a manager is the willingness to listen to people around them and execute on those ideas, or provide feedback, or whatever they're going to do. The difference between a manager and a leader is a manager will decide on what they want to do and they will dictate and delegate those things, whereas a leader will actually be receptive to the group around them, and everybody will feel included in this team. And if they don't feel included, a leader can talk to the group and explain what their individual roles are, and also talk to each individual person and tell them, you may not feel valuable. What you're doing right now is integral to our operation, and this is why. And you get them on board with feeling like they are a part of the team, you will also start developing that loyalty.